Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Marshall here, and today I've got another 1 vs 1 for you, this time between Neon and Broom, who's also known as PA Guide, and he does a lot of coaching on the Discord. And we're going to be playing on N30n, one of Grand Homie's maps, currently in the ranked pool. Very segregated metal spots into nice little clumps. Offers a lot of proxy play. And here we go. On the north, we have got Broom right here in blood red, going bots into air after 2 P-gens. And a whole bunch of extra P-gens with no additional factory. Could that be a T2 rush with his commander, I wonder? Meanwhile, down on the South Pole, we've got Neon going bots into air, into bots into air. 2 P-gens between each by the looks of things. Neon going a P-gen before his second factory. That's not entirely necessary, depending on how many fabbers he's going to pop out, but he's doing it anyway. Getting in that first fabber to assist it up, just to save that little bit of time, and then coming out with more fabs to get his metal up. Up to 3 fabs there. Let's have a look at how Broom is progressing his fab build, up to 3. Neon going for 3, and then straight into Broom bots. Broom potentially looking for a 4th. Yes, I was going to say that. It's all over the place, this one. Starting out with a few fireflies as well from Neon with the air factory there, and going for multiple Boom bots, trying to ensure a kill here. Interesting from Neon. Zoom in just a smidgen so that you guys can keep up with the build cues there, if you are that way inclined. 5 fabs from Broom. 6! Is this Broom or is this... I don't know, but... Oh, we've got fabber spam. Aha. Broom sees Boombot. He's going to be aware. Will he change this to a point defense? Yes, he will. Straight away to defend these fabbers. And unfortunately, Neon has missed that Boombot opportunity. Then again, he could always come in with a spark drop. It's a bit more risky, but it's possible. Meanwhile, Broom there getting a nice little bit of intel with that Firefly that Neon is just letting sit there for a little bit. Takes it out ultimately. Adds an additional fabber to his troop. And while they're expanding off in that direction, this one will either help build up the base or expand to this triple here. Where's it going? There we go. Getting that little triple. Zoom out a little bit now so we can see how they're expanding. There we go. Beautiful. Like that. Not a huge amount of play for the rear of the planet just yet. But, Neon seems to be playing on the main approach for the time being. I must admit, I haven't watched too many games of N30n, so this is relatively novel even for me. So as I said earlier, we've got our proxy factories coming up by this close clump of 3 mechs, and if I select this look, you can see the placement of that turret covering multiple metal sites there. Likewise with that one, albeit a Galata, but it covers the area. And a radar up for Neon as well here. We'll be able to see stuff coming in from the western approach, with a few factories coming up. Now there is debate in the community as to whether you should put a factory up before point defense at these proxies. Some people like to put up the point defense first, some people prefer a factory to go up first. I'm going to sit on the fence on that one. It very much depends situationally for me as to what I decide to do. If I'm on the back foot, if I feel like I have the advantage, if the proxy isn't too far away, if I've got units supporting my fabricators, how important is the position overall, does it get me closer to my opponent or does it just lock down some metal, all of these things. And that also decides what type of factory I go for, be it bot or vehicle. This map, we've got quite a large radius, 600, so I personally would have thought vehicles are less common, but then again Neon goes and puts one straight up over there. This one is getting a bit of air. Both players here trying to really cement themselves in the air. This Boom bot just about keeping its distance here. Can it find these two fabs? It's possible. It's possible. It's very possible. Oh! Oh! That was unfortunate. The focus of Neon there was on his air, which ultimately lost out in that engagement as well, although it looks actually rather like they both traded away. But again, how much attention can you divide? And that really is where the more advanced players shine, is in dividing and keeping a track of all of these places of attention that they need to keep a hold on. So Neon here, we can see we've got a proxy between these two areas, and in the meantime this choke is rather guarded by this turret here. Should be able to deal with the docks at least, but the turret rotation speed there, letting it down a little bit, and its target choice a little odd. Neon now having to respond to this in lieu of losing out a bunch of his mechs, and we have had a couple of Fabber snipes on the back here from Broom as well. Nice couple of wins there simultaneously, and putting a little bit of pressure on the front door as well, with additional docks and sparks all coming in at the same time. Neon now having to go very much on the defensive. We can see the economies there. Neon trying to keep up just in time, trying to take some of this middle ground here on these platforms. Lock down this little courtyard, as it were. If he can get up that factory and those point defense, that will be quite a good position for him, but this one docks could ruin his day. Is it going to? It's not! And it doesn't see the metal there either. That's very lucky for Neon. Meanwhile though, T2 going up for both players now. Broom up to the T2 bots and Neon as well, although much further in terms of the completion there. Ah, that Inferno gobbling up that line of spaghetti docks. Single file against Inferno is not what you want to do. Ideally, you don't really want to be hugging Infernos. It's not the ideal form of social interaction with that particular species. I don't know what about. But Neon there, successfully defending. Needs to repair a couple of his metal sites there and possibly reshore up his defences. We'll need an additional fabricator over there. This is also what good players are good at. The moment they start losing fabbers, they build some more. We'll see this T2 factory assisted by some fabbers and the commander there. Meanwhile, Broom really starting to take the opportunity to paint this map red. You can see they're pressing down to the equator expansions, and even into one of what should be by right one of Neon's expansions there. Meanwhile, a bit of raiding happens here. Looks like, unfortunately, Neon's courtyard expansion was locked down, as was his platform there. So the greater army count of Broom really starting to come into its own now, and a lot of that is in the air. Neon also has a fairly sizable air force, 25 interceptors, plays 28. So, very much even Stevens in the air game. Air game, rather. Swayed slightly towards Broom. But now Neon has the T2 advantage. He's got a few units coming towards Broom. Broom just finishes his T2 factory, so he should just about be able to get his defender's advantage in there, coming out with some ghillie sniper bots as well. Do we have plenty of spinners here? We have a few. I don't really know why these guys are going off here. Never mind, yes I do. They're going for this expansion down here. Nice decision made there. This will force a response from Broom. Here come the air here. As long as we can take out this expansion, that split might have been worth it, but will have to pull away from this force here because there's no way he can really engage with that. Get them closer to the spinners there before the slammer is taken down. Unfortunately, it is. So Broom keeping his base intact, more or less. And he's really shoring up this front proxy. 2 vehicle factories there because he cuts the movement distance between the bases. Feels confident enough to go for the vehicles. Makes all the sense, if you ask me. Well, no one's really focusing on expanding around the back. Broom's got this little island here, as it were. I say island, it's not really an island, but you get my meaning. And Neon now going to try and attempt to find ways to push in, but still not having spinners in his army. What a bad decision! Why would you not have spinners in your army? What's going on? In a game where you don't have air superiority, you've got to have spinners. You've got to have spinners, especially when you've seen the enemy make use of bombers heavily before. Just essential. Meanwhile, Broom's starting to pull ahead with the army count now. Meanwhile, Neon somehow managing to keep just ahead in terms of economy. It's fluctuating somewhat, so you can't really say that with any confidence. And here we go. Here's the T2 bots now pushing into Neon's base. He's got a couple of ghillies to defend, and in come the bombers now as well. That criticism about the spinners goes both ways, because the air support was not there from Broom. They're covering the line. Also, a bad maneuver. It spreads out the air. It means they're not doing as much consolidated damage. That must have been just to cover the line and then forgotten about, because there was no micro there whatsoever. And Broom calls himself a coach? Goodness me. 2 schoolboy errors in as many seconds. Spinners and whatever that was with the air. Good lord. Right. This here could make a few inroads. We've got more ghillies again. Trying to lure back to this pelter defense here. 3 of them, no less. That looks nasty. Though this time spent not attacking or raiding is giving Neon the opportunity to regroup. He's now got his army count back up to where it should be. He is losing out on the economy, though. He's got to get re-expanding, and also I see this little sneaky naval factory here from Broom. If he manages to keep that alive and really focuses on that while he defends on the main continents, we could get a backdoor T2 naval here with a couple of kaijus, potentially. That will be nasty. Here comes the naval fab. There's no mechs in this water, so that means we've got a naval factory coming up, folks. T2 naval. Meanwhile, Broom just holding his ground. Again, still no anti-air support here with this entire line. And again, splitting the air out. What are you doing? No! He's just throwing away his air. What are you doing? Goodness gracious. Is it supposed to be intimidating? No! It thins out your forces. It doesn't make them look thick or impressive. You won't like me ridiculing him. He'll watch this and go, Marshall, are you any good at playing? And I'll say, no. But I have every right to comment, because I am. Marshall. Somewhat of an anticlimactic statement, but there we go. Pushing in now from Neon. He's learnt his lesson. He's got some spinners in there. They are falling behind a little bit. Trying to get his docks in first to take out this mechs assuredly. And he might well pull back and consolidate with the spinners. But he's found this defensive line here of ghillies. Let's highlight all of those in play. 2 on the attack, 3 on the defense. Unfortunately, having to come back and consolidate. We've got a couple of skitters there. Trying to get a bit of vision coverage. Did Neon just see that? He hasn't. So Neon hasn't seen the T2 naval factory that is coming up at pace. And a T2 vehicle factory in Broom's base as well. We've got all of the things coming out of Broom right now, so much so that he's managing to stall his economy big time. Shellers could do some work over the rocky features. But the T2 naval is really where it's at. Here we go. You built walls, you're not behind it, but lured into pelter range. Never a bad thing. Here we go. Pick off a few of those docks, and there we go. Now he notices and moves his units behind the wall. Perhaps a little too late, though, as all he's got left are spinners. The pelter preempts a little too far, perhaps. And there we are, Kaiju's coming out of the T2 naval. Neon now. His window of opportunity is closing. His army count has dwindled somewhat. And he doesn't know about the naval. Does he even have it on radar coverage? He shouldn't do. The problem is this vehicle force now pushing in on his northeast towards his vehicle factory. He's got a couple of defensive pelters, so he should just be able to deal with this there. He's got some ghillies to defend as well, and some slammers. Successfully holds that attack off. Now trying to get in here with a raiding force of slammers and docks. Unsuccessfully. Broom now, with a large enough army that he can attack in multiple different places. And here come the Kaijus. Possibly revealing the hand a little too soon. But still, threatening the triple mechs. The Leviathan peeking out behind. Here we go. And now Neon sees the T2 naval and thinks, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. And yes, you are. Your military doesn't quite cater to dealing with this. And there we go, Leviathan revealing itself. Those massive arcing rounds there over the mountains. Little skirmish happening over on the eastern front now. Neon trying to defend around this rock here. Got some levelers in there as well, so he should be able to defend that with relative ease. We've got a lot of Infernos in there, so we're not actually dealing out a huge amount of damage from that vehicle force. It looks big, but it's not actually doing a lot of damage. And now here we come with the Leviathan. Getting close. Getting dangerously close. What's its range looking like? Well, it's certainly a blockade of 6 mechs, no less. And this entire bridge around the back here. Meanwhile, Neon's expansions around the back are being cut. He's now fallen below 200 mechs. And starting to slide down a slippery slope that is the road to defeat. He's got a lot of military now out on the front. He's pulling through the pelters. Not ideal, and he's dithering about whether he should go for it or not. You saw that little movement dance. And he's going to go for it. Not wise. Losing more units than is necessary. You could have just moved around these volcanoes and would have been safe, but here he sacrificed somewhat of an army just to take out this forward position, which doesn't get him any nearer to killing off this commander. The air game now, though, squarely in Neon's favour. Look at that. So Neon spread his air out as well. I don't know why. The only thing I can think of is that when you're spread out like that, you get more overlapping shots in the middle. And less wasted ones, perhaps, but don't know. Strikes me as you'd just lose more. It's like, do you try and cavalry charge a blob, or do you try and cavalry charge a line? You know, I know which I'd rather do. Meanwhile, that's all irrelevant, as this commander is threatened by shellers and slammers. Neon all of a sudden caught out and unawares as shellers now pelt on his noggin. Inferno's taking some bites out of his armor as well, and that there is game. Sneaky army comes round the back and finishes Neon off, who didn't really have much of a way of really getting close to Broom for the majority of that game. It looked like a bit of a struggle for nearly all of it. Neon equalised somewhat in the economy game, but never really managed to raid Broom successfully. And that continued growth from Broom really is what won that game out in the end, I feel. Well, folks, I hope you've enjoyed. I've been Marshall. Hope you've been subscribed for more PA content very, very soon indeed. And don't forget to follow me on Twitch as well. I'm starting to stream more frequently, and other games too. Valorant, and some puzzle games there as well. Until next time though, folks, I've been Marshall. Thank you very much again for watching, and have a good one.